existence, that their contemporary, what they call civilization, is simply the result of the direct continuation of the development of the reason, which began at the very commencement of the arising of three-brained beings on their planet. And so, when the beings, their contemporaries of any grouping, owing to the formation in them while still in their preparatory age of new data for this false conviction, accidentally became the possessors of something which is accounted in the given period desirable, and thereby acquire authority, and at the same time find out, of course also accidentally, about some idea of the beings of past epochs which has already existed many times, and giving it out as having been thought of by themselves, spread it around. Then the beings of other groupings, through the absence in their common presence due to wrong education of the data which is proper to all three-brained beings of responsible age to have in their presences, and which engender what are called an instinctive sensing of reality and a broad outlook, believe, in the first place, that this idea has arisen on their planet for quite the first time, and secondly, that once the practical application of it has been actualized by those who already possess the said something desirable, then it must indeed be very good, and they forthwith begin to imitate everything really good as well as bad, notwithstanding its complete contrariety to everything there is and to everything well fixed in their ordinary existence, merely in order to possess that which for today is considered desirable. I then even remembered that I had already once, long before, very seriously reflected on this matter in the period of my 5th personal sojourn on the surface of your planet, when the city of Babylon was considered the center of culture of these strange three-brained beings, and when I had, on account of some similar question, to make a logical analysis of just this strange feature of the psyche of these peculiar three-brained beings. I then, among other things, also reasoned as follows: that they think thus may perhaps be possibly justified by taking into consideration that, owing to the abnormal conditions of ordinary existence established in past epochs, no exact information has reached them about events which have occurred in the past in the process of the existence of the three-brained beings who existed before them on their planet. But how is it possible to admit that up till now there has not arisen in the mentation of any one of them, in whom it has already been established that even until quite recently there does sometimes proceed a something similar to the process of comparative logic, at least the following simple and almost, as they themselves would call it, childish idea. And namely, if, as they themselves say, and are even certain, that their planet has already existed many, many centuries with their species on it, beings similar to them, that is to say, beings who could mentate, and that many, many millions of them must have also arisen and existed before them, would there really have not been then, from among these many, many millions, at least a few beings who could also have invented for the well-being of their contemporaries all kinds of comforts, as in the given case these contemporary American beings are now inventing, and all the others are uncritically and even rapturously imitating, as, for example, comfortable seats in the water closets, preserves, and so on and so forth? This unpardonable lack of thought is all the more strange in that they themselves admit the existence of many, as they now call them, ancient sages, and also do not deny the great amount of most varied information which has come down to them concerning the many objective truths elucidated by these sages. which information, by the way, certain of your favorites at the present time are, without any remorse of conscience, giving out as having been thought of by themselves, and exploiting to the full for their various egoistic aims, without at all suspecting that the totality of the results of these wiseacrings of theirs will inevitably lead their descendants, sooner or later, to total destruction. This particularity of their mentation, very complicated for any logical analysis, undertaken for the purpose of understanding it, engendering in them this false conviction, was, during the whole of my observations of them, beginning with the end of their existence of the continent Atlantis, always, so to say, the gravity-center cause of almost all the more or less major events unfavorable for them in the process of their collective existence. Thanks to this false conviction, the result of their strange mentation, and in addition, thanks to the effect on the totality of the functioning of their feelings, of the consequences of the properties of the organ Kundabuffer, which inevitably arise in their presences at responsible age, and which are called envy, greed, and jealousy, it always happens there that when the beings of any groupings become the possessors of anything which in the given period is considered desirable, in most cases, because of that maleficent practice fixed in their everyday existence, which they express by the words, "not to cease progressing," there immediately arises in the common presences of all the beings of other groupings, on whatever continents they may breed, as soon as the rumor of this reaches them, the desire to have the same, and from that moment there arises in each of them, firstly, the need to imitate them, and secondly, the indubitable certainty that the beings of this other grouping must exist very correctly, since they have been able to acquire just what in the given period is accounted desirable. In this connection, the so to say piquancy of the strangeness of the mentation of your favorites is that there never occurs in their mentation the process called to ponder, in order to understand, if only approximately, the true causes of the possession by others of that on account of which there arise in them envy, greed, jealousy, and so on. And so, my boy, in spite of the fact that as far as the acquisition and hence the possession of the results attained by the conscious labors and intentional sufferings of the three brain beings of past epochs of their planet are concerned, the beings of their new group have absolutely nothing at all, but consist as to inner content as well as to exterior manifestations only of everything bad that exists among contemporary beings of other independent groupings, solely because in recent times they have accidentally become the possessors of just that which in the objective sense is most despicable, yet which, owing in general to the fixed abnormal conditions of the ordinary existence of these unfortunates, is considered desirable. Nevertheless, the beings of all the other groupings now imitate to the full everything they invent. Of all the maleficent inventions of the beings of this contemporary grouping which have accidentally acquired authority, the most harmful for their common presences in respect of the possibility of rectifying in the future the, so to say, already actualized maleficences, must be considered the practice they have established of passing a great part of the time of their existences in high houses. In order that you may clearly picture to yourself the significance of all the harm from just this invention of theirs, I must first of all explain to you the following. Do you remember when I spoke to you about that maleficent means existing there at the present time called sport? I said that the duration of the existence of these